I received a request to do a compare and contrast of the US Pilot Metropolitan and the Japan Pilot Cocoon fountain pens. They appear to be pretty much the same fountain pen, and what is puzzling is that the Metropolitan is so much cheaper. Even if you account for the cost of, importing goods, of course importing is expensive because you are shipping from another country and you're also having to pay customs fees, things like that. It still didn't make a lot of sense on the surface as to why these pens are such a different price point. A viewer requested that I do a comparison, and I've spent a lot of time studying these two pens. I've studied them in person, and I've studied them, of course, on the Pilot Japan website and Pilot USA website, and then some other websites in the US that sell the US version. So I did order these US pens. As you know, I only specialize in Japanese pens, so I didn't have these in my inventory. I ordered a Champagne Metropolitan in a fine point. And I ordered a silver with dots Metropolitan in a medium point. And I took from my own inventory a Cocoon in Bordeaux in fine point. Now you can see the design on the nib is slightly different. The Japan one has dots, the US one has stripes. I believe they're essentially the same nib anyway. They are both made with stainless steel. I just really don't see a huge difference between them. I think the design just might indicate US market versus Japan market. So both of these pens come with a fine nib and a medium nib. The Japan fine nib and the US fine nib appear to me to be the same point. Sometimes when you get a US fine nib, it's really like a Japan medium nib, and a lot of times the Japan fine nib is the US extra fine nib. But probably because these are both Pilot and they're both manufactured in Japan, they are the same in terms of the tip size. Okay, so all of these pens are supposedly brass barrels with a matte finish paint over the top of them. The parts are interchangeable, which is further evidence that they're practically the same pen. Okay, so for example, I can take the US nib section and screw it into the barrel of the Japan nib, and I don't think, you'd ever know a difference. So again, that to me is further evidence that it's very similar pens. You could do an interesting pin mod in this way, kind of funny. You could take and make it people would be really curious about your pen because the market doesn't sell that one. The Pilot Metropolitan and the Pilot Cocoon do have some different colors that they come in. So for example, if you like this Bordeaux color, you could only get it in the Japan Cocoon version. If you there's a whole series of, it's called the Animal Collection in the Pilot Metropolitan, and this part of the barrel has animal prints. I think they have crocodile, lizard, leopard, python, and a tiger print. Now, animal print is totally not my cup of tea. I have no interest in it, so I didn't order anything like that. But I did find this dot version. Oh, let Let me see. Which I thought was kind of cool. So I ordered the dot version. All of the Cocoon currently available are just plain. So while you do have some more, you know, beautiful, unique colors in the Cocoon, there's no design yet in the Cocoon. I wonder if it's just a limited time though before the Metropolitan and the Cocoon like kind of merged together to be more the same product across the two industries, or across the two markets. The Pilot US website does not indicate that you can use the two different converters with the Metropolitan, but I believe you can, and I'm going to try it out on video today to see whether or not. The Pilot Cocoon from Japan does clearly indicate on the Pilot Japan site that both converters will fit. And of course, you can always use the pre-filled ink cartridges. I really like this brown one that we recently started selling. These are much easier to use than the converters if you're new to fountain pens. Okay, so after really inspecting this pen and trying to figure out what in the heck was the difference, because, you know, of course I'm trying to figure out what accounts for this price difference. I did find a couple things that I find different, but it's still puzzling as to how important that is. So I don't think you're going to be able to see this. Maybe you can. All right, so this is the Japanese nib, section, and feed. And you can see that where the feed goes in, it's angled in the Japanese version. I mean, we're really lucky if that comes through, but yeah, I think you can see it right there. All right, now in the US, you should be able to see that it's flat. It's not angled. Both the fine and the medium in the US version were flat. So I am not at all a fountain pen expert. I say that in all my fountain pen videos. I know that there are fountain pen fanatics and they can be so particular. Maybe if you are a fountain pen fanatic and you're watching this video, you can tell me if this is significant, that it's shaped differently. This is back on the Japan one. And you know, why that might be important, or you know, why it might be shaped differently. What is going on there with that feed? Okay. Back to one other difference I found. Move those pins. Okay, so I've got my trusty scale. I'm gonna bring into the view here. This is the scale I use to ship your orders. All right, so we've got the US barrel, and you can see it weighs 0.4. We've got this other US barrel. It's also weighing 0.4. And we've got the Japan barrel, which is weighing 0.5. Now let's look inside. The one on my right is the Japan one, US the left. When I look in here, I really don't see a difference. I'm very puzzled as to why this is heavier, and if that if that helps account for the price difference. I'm gonna fill these with ink and write with them and tell you if I think the weight, makes a difference in the writing of them. I'm just trying to be thorough here, since people were asking what is the difference, and it seems to be like the biggest mystery ever. So again, this one has a heavier barrel than these two. All right, so got my trusty notebook here. So I think what I'm gonna do is, I have here, in Japan they call this a press plate converter. I believe in the US, people just call it an ink bladder. Okay, you know what? I should be showing you this. Sorry. That was totally not helpful. Okay. So this, in Japan, is called a press plate converter. I believe US fountain pen users call it a ink bladder. Tell me what you call it. I know that fountain pen users can't stand it when I use terminology different than theirs, so they will let me know. I think it's hilarious. Okay, and then this is the Pilot Converter 50. This in Japan they call a piston converter. I believe that in the US it's also called a piston converter. Okay, but both of them enable you to fill whatever ink you want in the fountain pen. So you're not totally limited to the colors available in the Pilot pre-filled ink cartridges, disposable ink cartridges. I really like these. I think they're a lot easier to use. But if you're really into fountain pen ink color, which is such a fun realm to get into, then you would just, you know, prefer one of these. Okay, so first I want to kind of see what I think about how they go in. So I'm just going to try it in both the Japanese and the US version. See if I feel a difference. Okay. So far it seems to me, no, I think they're the same. I think they seem the same here. They're both really snug. That one snaps in. Yeah, I think they're very comparable so far. If I snap in a pre-filled ink, it's gonna get all over the place. So I'm gonna hold off for 1 second here. So why don't I take the US medium tip. Actually, I don't like medium tips, so let me hold off on that one. I'm gonna take the US fine tip. I'm gonna use the press plate converter 20, or again, maybe you call it an ink bladder. And I can screw in, let's see, what do I want? I think I'll do the silver. Well, I don't know. Do I like the champagne? No, I'll do the silver. Okay, so I have some inks I wanted to try out anyway. I think this is going to be like a coral color. Please, someone tell me how to pronounce this. I do not speak French. Okay. This ink is cool. Now I'm testing it on a yellow paper. Let me grab just a white page here. So it might be coming out a little different. But you know, it's more, I would say this is more of a brown than a than a pink. It's cool. It's cool. Yeah, it's not so much the shade that's on here, but the shade that you can actually see on the bottle here. I would say that's really comparable. Cool, cool. Okay. Well, I'll have fun with that. Okay, so tested that pen out. Now I'm gonna test out the fine nib with the converter 50. Piston converter is how I understand it to be. Why do I always do this? Okay. I'm gonna use Noodler's Zhivago. I think this is an olive green, but maybe I'm wrong. Let's find out. Okay. Whoa, it is full. This seems like a disaster waiting to happen. Okay, let me just poke that out. Okay, wow, that is full. It doesn't, I don't know. Maybe this is a gray. Let's find out. Okay. Okay, it's starting to, I think. Okay, there we go, finally. I didn't submerge it enough. What color is that? Why in the heck did I pick this black color? I don't understand that. I feel really confused about this color. What? It's ugly. Okay. 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 I feel like I could be biased, but this tip feels nicer to me. It has to be the same tip though. Could be the ink, I suppose. This ink just looks black. What? I don't understand why I got that. I think it's just a difference of ink. I think the Noodler's maybe is a thicker ink or something. Why did I buy it? Because it is writing nicer. This always happens to me. Okay. This is fine. It's scratchier. Okay, and then let me test out this one with just like a pre-filled cartridge. I hope you don't mind my messy tests here. Okay. Always have to get this going. You know, once you choose a variation of converter or, you know, this, I don't know that the weight matters as much. It could even out, if you know what I mean. This one does feel weightier, but it might have more ink in it based on what I used. So I'm really not sure, you know, what I'd say about that. I'd say this Metropolitan, because it is so similar to the Cocoon, is a really good value pen. You know, someone might purchase the Cocoon because they like the color options better, or because they're like, you know, a Japanese pen fanatic like I am, so they collect, you know, Japanese market pens. But they're just so similar that if you're looking for an everyday fountain pen, I almost think, you know, I'd recommend the Metropolitan, because it's, you know, so similar. All right, I hope this video was helpful. I have had a lot of videos like this in my queue. I had a son in late 2015, and he actually came very early. So not only was he early, and then I got behind in my video queue, but we were also in the hospital for a month, and it's just taken us several months to adjust to having a baby at home. So that is why if you've requested a video, I am just now getting through my request queue, and I really appreciate your patience. Thank you so much for watching.